I'm Lexi. I'm in the US, and today we're going to make a few more freezer meals. This is one that I've only had once before. It's like a taco casserole kind of thing, or Mexican lasagna. Call it whatever you feel like. But the first thing I'm going to do is I've got 4 pounds of ground beef back here and 2 pans heating up over on the stove. That's for 2 reasons. We've been over before that one of my pans just can't really handle 4 pounds of meat. The other reason is I decided to do this in 2 different flavors. I've got 2 different kinds of salsa, a traditional basic red salsa, and I've got a green salsa. And I'm gonna do 2 red casseroles and 2 green casseroles. Variety is the spice of life, is it not? So I'm going to get that in the pan. Going to put 2 pounds in each pan. Some of this is still a little frozen, but it'll be okay. Completely forgot to pull these out of the freezer to thaw earlier today. What was I thinking? This is the one I want. Get them broken up. And then those can work on cooking while we do the next thing. Next thing we're going to do is just dice up 4 onions. Suppose I should throw all these bags away, huh? The salsa has some onion in it already, but no one was ever hurt by a little extra vegetable now, were they? Okay, I'm just going to go for a nice basic medium dice here. Nothing fancy. I always like to try and put a few extra vegetables into dinner wherever I can. Ask me what I do with cornbread sometimes. Okay, well, I'm going to get the hair out of my face. Well, I'm going to get these other 2 onions diced up and then put these in with the ground beef that's browning. When I do that, I'm also going to add some of these diced up peppers that I had in the freezer. Whenever I buy peppers and they start to go a little bit just not the greatest, but I'm not going to be using them in the next day or so. I go ahead and chop them and then put them in the freezer so that they are there and easy to access whenever I need them. Like I said, I'm going to chop those onions, put the onions in probably about this much of the bell pepper in with the hamburger. And I'm going to divide that up between the two pans. I will see you back after those have cooked down a bit and the hamburger's nice and brown for the next step. Alright, so the meat is browned, and here I've got 2 packets of taco mix and 8 ounces of homemade hot sauce. This is a green hot sauce, so it's going to go with the green casserole. They don't seem to make green taco seasoning, so we'll improvise. I already opened these, and we're just going to pour both of these little jars into one of the pans of meat. Use the spatula to get all of this yummy peppery goodness. And then into the other pan goes both taco mixes. And then I've got a quart of just plain water here. I'm going to go with half a pint to start with. That's like a quarter of the quart. And that's just going to help all this seasoning distribute nicely. Little more water. About that much left. And I am just going to let those cook down a little bit on a simmer until most of the water's evaporated and it's just got like a nice, juicy, saucy texture. And I will see you when that is done. Okay, the green mixture is still simmering away over there. I might have added a little too much water, but the red stuff is pretty much done. So I figured we'd move on to the next step. These are 2 cans of roasted peppers, just jalapenos that I roasted in water and canned according to the procedures listed in the cookbook. I need a fork right now. But I knew I did these in pretty big pieces, so I want to get them diced up a little. Let's just do one at a time. That way we can keep them roughly even. I'm going to put them in the same dish. What does it matter? Could we roast peppers fresh for this? Of course we could. Do we need to? No, because I had these on my shelf. If you don't have these on your shelf, you can buy diced green chilies from the Mexican section of any supermarket. They're really common. They're great to have in your cupboard. It's not a pickled chili. It's just a roasted chili. So I like to keep them around for when I'm making like chili with meat and beans in the pot. You know what I mean. But they're just handy to have around, and last year I had a whole bunch of extra jalapenos from the garden because if you saw my garden tour videos, my plants went a little bonkers. So I tried this recipe. Okay, just going to set these over here out of the way. Put put the cutting board in the sink and see how that meat's doing. All right, so these are both done, and I'm going to add, that is not the right jar. That is the right jar. I'm going to add some salsa to these now. Could I have done that while they were still on the heat? Yes. Did I remember to do that? No. So to the red one, I've got 2 jars of basic red salsa. I do a lot of canning in the summer, but because so much can go wrong with canning, it's not something I'm real comfortable showing on YouTube. If you don't follow all the rules just so, you can really end up making someone sick. If you want to can, by all means, get into it. It's a great hobby. It's a great way to preserve the food from your garden. It's just not something that I feel comfortable showing on YouTube and taking the responsibility for teaching other people. So 2 jars of red salsa, since this is going to make us 2 casseroles. Give that a stir. And then in this one, that is still the wrong jar. I keep grabbing that one. You'll see what that one's for in a minute. 2 jars of green salsa are going to go in here. There. Come on. There we go. Give that a stir too. Going to be lots of vegetables in this dinner. Next, we're ready for assembly. Give me a second to get set up. There we go. Now this is going to be similar to start with as the lasagna and the enchiladas and the, what did we make last month? The schinken noodling. Or pretty much the same as anything that I make in a square casserole dish. We're going to start with 2 strips of parchment paper. And these just help you get the food brick out of your glass pan once it's frozen. That is to allow you to not have to have 15, 20, 30 of these glass pans. And then we fight with the plastic wrap. I'm going to use scissors. Does anyone else absolutely hate plastic wrap? It's like the bane of my existence, but I can't get away from it. I've tried using foil to wrap these, and the foil just sticks to the food and shreds when you try and unwrap it when it's frozen. Okay, 1 piece of plastic wrap going one direction. Don't let it sit in the food. One piece of plastic wrap going the other direction. Set that over here. And then a square of parchment paper right in the bottom. And that just helps the plastic not get stuck in the food, because that would be a bad thing, right? Oh, it's getting warm in here. Next thing we need are tortilla chips. Whatever your favorite tortilla chips are. We're going to take about a quarter of the bag. I've got 2 bags, so half a bag per casserole. And I'm not putting saran wrap in this one because this is what's going to be for dinner tomorrow. But you're just going to crush a layer of chips in the bottom of each. We'll go a little conservative because I want to make sure I have enough. Next goes, what goes next? Next goes the meat. And this time I'm going to have red for dinner tomorrow because last time I ate this dish, I had green. Variety. You want to make sure that you're going to have enough for all four, and each casserole, well, I guess if you're making four, and each casserole gets 2 layers of meat. So go kind of thin. Your top layer can always be thicker if you need it to be. Next, we're going to sprinkle on some black beans. And these have already been rinsed and drained. You're going to need 1 can of black beans per casserole, so half a can per layer. Next is some of these peppers. Go kind of light with these. You only have, I only have at least 1 pint of these to go between the 4 casseroles. Plus, these are pretty spicy. They're jalapenos after all. Just sprinkle a few of these on for hot little surprises. Then on the red one, I'm going to take some taco sauce. This is new. Is there a seal in here? Yep. And just squeeze that on. And that is what this other jar that I kept saying was the wrong jar is for. This is a different green salsa that I made that is a smooth blended salsa. So we're going to use that in place of taco sauce. I do believe they make green taco sauce, but I already had this. So let's go with something we've got, right? And then we need some cheese, which I have sitting over here. Because I staged my ingredients this time so that I wouldn't have to chase them out of the refrigerator. This is mozzarella because I wanted more of that like cheese pull feel that you get from lasagna than cheddar usually gives. If you wanted to use, I'm sorry if I butcher this, I think it's called Oaxaca cheese. I believe that's a nice melting cheese that would give you the same effect. That would be a bit more authentic to Mexican food. I'm just going to sprinkle some cheese on. A couple of handfuls. Put the cheese back over here where there's space. And then we're going to repeat the process. Crushed up chips. And meat. Don't let that run away. some more beans. Some more peppers. Some more sauce. And some more of our favorite ingredient, cheese. And then to wrap this up, you just fold the plastic wrap up over it. And this can go into the freezer. When you want to let this freeze for about 2 days and it'll be nice and solid, then you can use these pieces of paper to pop your food brick out of the pan and put it in a Ziploc bag. Then when you go to cook it, you'll unwrap all the plastic, peel the parchment paper off the bottom. Very important. I forgot to do that once. That was not a fun discovery. Put your still frozen food brick back in this pan that you used as a mold. Cover it with some foil and let it sit in the fridge for a couple of days to thaw. Then you'll put it into your oven, turn your oven on to 350 degrees, and let it cook for approximately an hour until the cheese is nice and bubbly and the inside is warm. If you need to cover it with foil to keep the top from getting too brown, definitely do that. But you will have a yummy Mexican casserole for dinner. And if I remember to take some pictures or video when I make this one tomorrow, I will put them in here. I did remember last time with the schinken noodling. Did I remember? You tell me. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the other two assembled. You've seen me do it. You don't need to watch me do two more. And that is all I've got for today. Are any of you gonna try this? This is something I was a little skeptical about because of the chips, but they kind of absorb all the juices from the other products and get soft and yummy, and I don't really know how to describe it, but it is good. So let me know if you try it. You can tag me on Instagram if you do. If you don't try it, you can still follow me on Instagram. And also let me know if there's anything else you want me to try in meal prep. There aren't a lot of things that I do as freezer meals, and I'm starting to run out, but I like making these videos for all of you. So help give me some ideas. If you could give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye!